It's a multi-award winning program, Journalist Hangout. We're reaching you from our headquarters here in Lagos, Nigeria, and we are still discussing about the pandemic ravaging the entire universe. Jide, do you see Nigerians breaching this directive as days goes by? Because we're not used to this. I saw what is happening in the Vatican in Italy. I saw what is happening in Spain. I saw, New York now is like a ghost city. If you just go anywhere, everything is dead. Commerce, economy, everything is dead. Yeah. And this seems to be very, very strange to us that we are asked to stay at home for 14 days.
Yes,
For starters.
We have to deal with the issue of enforcement. Enforcement is very important. The security forces, the armed forces have to be involved, and they have to be very dedicated in ensuring that Nigerians comply. If Nigerians see clear signs that the police and the army who are involved in ensuring that this directive is obeyed are complacent, or they are not visible in some parts of the states, for example, they will then begin to come out. They will begin to come out. It has to be enforced. Many people do not realize that this is a life and death situation.
No.
They still say all sorts of rubbish that corona cannot come here. Just like that pastor who said, what is corona when there is chronic anointing? We have to enforce. We have to enforce this thing. You can see videos from Pakistan, from India, see people being flogged. Some of them went into the mosque. They beat the hell out of them, chased them out of those mosques. Because this is a life and death affair. You don't deceive us with religion. Don't deceive us. So this is the thing. If care is not taken, after a few days, people will begin to come out. It is incumbent on the security to make sure that, look, they make arrests, they make examples out of people who try to defy the directive of government.
But Governor Sanwo-Olu is saying that security operatives should be friendly.
Well, he's asking for civility. The question is, will Nigerians understand their civil language in the first place? And then they seem not to have been prepped for that sort of civility, usually our uniformed people. I think the other time I was too nice by saying that our public officials, people who were entrusted with the responsibility of ensuring that this thing did not take its toll on the country, inadvertently are complicit. I would want to withdraw the word inadvertent because I think that we've not done very well for starters. I think that the lockdown has come a bit late. I think that we should have moved a bit earlier than we are moving right now. I think that we should move a bit faster than we have moved right now. Because we have lost so much ground. Now, the other question on the street is that of hunger. People have lived in perpetual suspicion of the government and the people they elected to govern them. They do not trust them. And so the question is, so what are we going to eat if we stay indoors for 2 weeks? Now, my guess with those of the people that I have spoken with is this 2 weeks is just for the starters. You've not even started at all. This is just at the first instance. I actually think that the lockdown should have been longer.
End of April.
Exactly, it should have been longer. 2 weeks.
Will shut.
Exactly. If the normal time on paper for you to do the contact tracing of the people you suspect have been exposed to the case in Nigeria.
I'm looking for over 6,000 in Lagos.
Is 2 weeks. Do we have the infrastructure to do that contact tracing so quickly in 2 weeks? I do not think so. I would expect that the people who are involved, the NCDC and the Ministry of Health, will prove us wrong. But if they can do that in 2 weeks, then good for all of us. But I think that the problem on the street is, what are we going to eat? Okay, they're asking us to lock down like they are doing in the US and Canada and other places. What are the palliatives that are being provided for us? That is the question. That is the question people on the street are asking. Yes, exactly.
And they're asking people not to even defer bank institutions to defer mortgages that they have, not to collect mortgages, and they're asking landlords to please just take a chill pill for like 6 months.
So what are we doing in that regard?
Something that you said earlier that officials didn't behave correctly. He just didn't put it and use the right words. Some of these big officials are responsible for even spreading the virus. And it's such a massive shame that big people who went to fantastic schools, the elite are our problem. They are the ones distributing this virus. They are the ones who refused to self-isolate. You come in from London, you had education, but you put the education that you had to shame by not doing the right thing. You went to Germany, you refused to self-isolate. You felt you were too bigger than everyone in the country. You are moving around, distributing the virus. And look at the mess that we found ourselves.
A big mess.
Look at UCH. There was no need for a board meeting. One of the board members was carrying the virus. And he ended up giving the provost, he ended up giving the CMD. Was there a need for a board meeting at this time?
Lagos State even had its first EXCO meeting online today.
No, there were people who traveled. Someone who told them, some of his aides who traveled, they told them, said, don't come to the office. Don't try it. He warned them, stay away. And people are having board meeting.
Okay, I have Larry from Kaduna State. Dari, thank you for joining us.
Good evening. Yeah, good evening.
Yes, go ahead, Dari.
Yes, I want to totally agree with Babajide. You see, the people that are saddled with the responsibility of carrying out this thing, they should, maintain what they are asking us to maintain. I mean, it's a shame that you have National Assembly members coming back to Nigeria, but instead of isolating themselves, they go to the National Assembly to spread this thing. For God's sake, we are dealing with a matter of life and death. And the people that are saddled with the responsibility, I don't know whether they know the import of what we are dealing with. Please, I want to agree with what the governor is saying, but any citizen that wants to go against the law should be dealt with an iron hand. This is a matter of life and death. We are here in Kaduna, some people flouted the order, so many people were arrested. It is unfortunate that the government is trying its best to do the needful, when the citizens are not seeing the need. Do we even have the capacity in the first place? We don't have the capacity. So let's stay at home. Let the government look at what they can give to every citizen so that they will ameliorate this suffering that we are going through. But the first and foremost is it is when there is life that we can think of any development.
Thank you, Elder Dari. Thank you for your contribution. Solomon.
Official negligence. When this corona thing came up, and I thought to myself the way it is spreading because of the movement of people, and I have asked myself, did China actually tell us at the very time this thing broke? By the time China was announcing, had there been people who have caught this virus and who have been allowed to move out of Wuhan to travel around the world? Because people are the ones spreading this. So it must mean that before the declaration was made, before the alarm was raised, that a huge number of people had moved out of the epicenter and moved out to the rest of the world.
Yes.
But then, secondly,
that's what some world leaders are saying, that China withheld information that could have helped the rest of the world.
And so, secondly, I thought to myself,
now today they are back.
Nigeria,
back to their normal lives.
I asked myself, Nigeria and Nigerian politicians, did they ever think that a day like this will come? The negligence, the official negligence of abandonment of our health care infrastructures, of our healthcare institutions. Now here we are. This isolation center thing we're talking about, you remember that in the last dispensation that we ought to have had the isolation center in Abuja long ago. And then here we are, over 5 years. Have we built one in Abuja? Now, so we need to talk to ourselves. We need to look at the failure, the negligence of leadership, the negligence, official negligence in these matters. The things we have failed to do, they have come back to haunt us. And I think we need to address those things.
Babajide, Governor Seyi Makinde tested positive, making him the third governor. That's the governor of Bauchi State, Governor Nasiru El-Rufai of Kaduna State, and Seyi Makinde. Seyi Makinde had a rally 3 weeks ago or so, a big rally, PDP rally, and he was talking about coronavirus and everything. But this is an indication. That rally, we saw the number of people that converged there, and he had attended some events after that.
I'm truly worried for your state because of the number of people who attended that rally, because of the number of even governors. Some governors were in attendance, the new governor of Bayelsa, many people. And Governor Seyi Makinde should have known better, that you don't do that kind of rally at a time like this. So it just fits into what we've been saying, that many of us, including those who should know better, simply underrated this disease, And what have we get? You underrated the disease. Now even you become a victim. So this is that bad. You become a victim because you chose to underrate the disease. Those who should actually lead the way in sensitizing our people, in telling our people the things that they should not do, they are the ones who are doing those things. But it's a good thing that they are themselves victims. You can't come straight from abroad and be moving around. You should know better. You are a governor, for God's sake. You are a chief of staff, for God's sake. Why are we like this as a people? God created us equal. Why should some big people believe that they are not subject to the laws of our land? And then in that process, inflict pain, inflict agony on the rest of us. This lockdown that we have, that is happening, and this disease that has entered our country, whereas countries like Botswana, that continues to set example for the rest of Africa, they've dealt with it competently. Because we chose not to do that, we are going to destroy many businesses in our country this year. It's the consequence of our inaction.
Yeah,
many businesses will go down. Many companies will sack staff.
Yes.
Many companies will go under. Whereas Malawi has not had a single case, but they have come up with measures, some of which we are not even doing. We should have known better. Why is Taiwan today as close as this to China? Why is Taiwan not struggling? Because they move quickly.
Even the big cities in China, Beijing, they weren't that affected.
The matter of China, where you see, we can do a whole program on China. I don't think that. I think that there are many things that people do not know, or that the rest of the world does not know about this, that China knows. And maybe in the fullness of time,
they've not told us.
Yeah, because I don't know
and
how
I think
something
the
will go
Taiwanese
to.
are raising issues out there.
I don't know how a disease will spread to far-flung corners of the world, and the biggest cities in China,
Beijing,
will be isolated. Shanghai, just maybe about 5 persons affected, and it's one of the most populated cities in the world.
They're back to the.
So that's what I'm saying. They're
manufacturing now.
They're exploiting the situation.
All right, I have a caller from Abuja. Thank you for joining us.
Yes.
Mike.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Mike. Thank you for staying on.
Yes, sir.
Mike, how is the lockdown now?
The lockdown is partially obeyed.
Oh. Why?
The reason is because FCT has not paid the staff salary.
Oh.
You are locking down FCT, no salary. What would they use? So even though the major roads are closed down,
Exactly.
but in some villages and satellite, because FCT is a kind of administrative headquarters, most people here are civil servants.
Yeah.
The FCTA government administration has not paid. So what would they eat? So people are going about.
How about Wuse and all those places where they do big businesses? Are people out there?
Wuse market and other major markets are closed down.
Okay.
But in satellite village where the workers move to the town.
Oh, okay. In Yanya and the rest.
Yeah.
Kobwa.
People are busy going about with their normal business. And the reason is because most of them have not been paid.
Thank you, Mike. I think I get your message. Mike, Jide, we have to tell FCT administration, please
Go ahead and pay,
pay
please.
workers.
This is a cry from the street.
Yeah,
So you are
have to
doing
pay
a
us.
lockdown. What have you made provisions for? Now, there's this other thing I want to bring down home. The first question I asked myself, the NCDC did talk about the AMVCA award. And the AMVCA award is a big media event. And the first question I've asked myself, the media houses generally, who covered this event, what is the discourse in these media houses? The people who attended the show,
I remember that show.
the people who attended the show, who were exposed to the situation at the show.
People came from
What are the media
different
houses
parts of
saying
Africa.
from different parts of Africa, from different parts of this country? In Lagos especially, all the media houses who had reporters there, who had crew men there, what is the discussion going on in those media houses?
Some of them are in isolation now. I can confirm.
Hopefully,
Okay.
Some of them is
because this
isolation.
is very important.
Chances that not everyone will be in isolation, but some are in isolation. Some of those who attended that
That
are in
event,
isolation.
yes.
Journalists who attended. It's just precautionary. They are in isolation. We hope that we will be able to do better in terms of contact tracing, because that is what China did competently. They used technology to track people, you know. So once you can perfect the contact tracing, then the issue of testing. It costs 10,000 naira, about 10,000 naira, according to the Minister of State, Mamora, to test an individual. So this is an expensive virus. 10,000 to test an individual. So you can imagine, and we are using molecular testing. We prefer it because we think these test kits, that they are not reliable. You saw what China sold. China sold DOD to the Italians and the Spaniards. And you can
We're
see,
dying.
yes, DOD test kits.
Oh, man,
And they
China.
just didn't work, you know. So this is the thing. That's why our people prefer, and if you ask them, Professor Abayomi, and they believe that this one is foolproof. You know, this one is foolproof. Take your sample to the lab, they are certain. The test kits is also called rapid response testing. You can get your result almost immediately, but it's not as reliable as that molecular testing.
That one comes back to you after
But
some.
we still,
48 hours,
those ones are
24
not
hours.
enough.
They're not
So
enough.
we still, there's no time that we will not resort to these
You know,
test kits.
the way Jide just keeps calling Professor Abayomi just brought something to my mind. When you sit down with some of the best medical practitioners in Nigeria, you will understand how very good our doctors, our medical people are. They cry over the years about what government has to do. We have the brains, we have the men, we have the people with the know-how. They are the ones who travel all over the world and help build and help, you know, in other countries, they do great work in other countries. But here we are, we do not value them. They do great jobs, they move things around. Don't forget the Ebola case and the way the medical team in the country also handled that, Lagos especially. So we need to come to a point where we appreciate the sort of quality, the brains we have in this country that can get this thing done. All we need to do is provide what they need to work so that we can contain this.
Babajide, we're looking beyond COVID-19. Life after COVID-19 in Nigeria might be very difficult
It will be brutish.
for the rest of the world too, but particularly Nigeria. In a long time, I've never read something like this. You know, the global market is rattled. You know,
I
the
think
crude
since
oil
around
price now.
1990.
Crude oil price now is $19.
19.
And there are people the experts are saying it might slide to $10. That means our major stay will just turn to like pure water.
Look, before we slipped into recession, it was not this bad.
$19.
It was not this bad.
In a long time.
It was not this bad before we slipped into recession. So it is inevitable that we will get into recession. This one is
2016
not. It's
recession.
not Jide just making what we call the doomsday prediction. It is reality.
These are major stay.
Businesses are collapsing. Go to Dallas. those casinos, those losses are inevitable, and irreparable losses are inevitable based on the situation that we found ourselves.
Look at airlines now.
Airlines, you know that when we had 9/11, by the way, the number of people who have died in America now because of this pandemic is higher than those who died because of 9/11.
Yes.
And
New
during
York has
that
recorded
time,
over 1,000 deaths.
yeah, during that time, Bush had to bring out money to reflate the airlines, to save the airlines from death. You know, when the global recession happened in 2008, Obama had to bring out money to save those automobile companies in Detroit and the rest of them, to save them from dying. Because it's inevitable. Death will come. When we are done as a country, we are broke already. And then this is happening. So what you know that where they've shared this money at the end of the month, so they quarreled among themselves, they refused to accept.
Confidently, we can say the 2020 budget has failed.
No.
From the projection, from what we have seen here,
no,
we predicated it on $57.
No, it's massively it's failed. We now have to recalibrate all that we have done, because the numbers won't just add up. There's no way that you can implement that budget with what we have now.
This is a pandemic that is changing the world exactly, the world the way we have known it. It's changing the world. After the pandemic, we are going to do businesses differently from the way we've known them. And what we are seeing is a failure of old-style family businesses to a different way of business, basically. Because if the price of oil is falling, then it means probably doomsday for fossil fuel. We're probably looking at alternative to fossil fuel at this point. If the old-time business system and business structures are also failing, then we are looking at the knowledge industry, where the high-tech giants are the ones who hold sway. So we are looking at a whole paradigm shift of the way things have always been known around the world. It's something completely new that we're going to see immediately after the pandemic.
Let me quickly take Garba. Garba is calling us from Makode. Thank you for joining us, Garba.
Thank you for having me, Ayo.
All right, go ahead.
And the other guy in the studio.
It's our pleasure.
May God bless you guys.
Amen.
But today, you are so fantastic. I will say this and I will say this. You see, but here in Makode, let me say, you don't say in general. It's not because of come out and say a lady of the 2 years was infected and telling you 99% of many people didn't do the coronavirus. And up to now, there is a video clip that is going on. Mischief makers. They are saying that the government is telling lies. There is nobody that was infected of that. And then it come out. You see the only person that is hearing this one in the state.
Thank you, Garba. Well, I hear that a lot, that it's something that government has devised to embezzle money, that there's nothing like coronavirus.
Maybe anybody who has it has to behave like Bukola Olokpade, who had to come out to, you have to shoot yourself like the governor of Kaduna State came out. You have to come open so that the people who have come in contact with you will know that you had it, so that they've also been exposed
Maybe
to
up
it.
to 500 people in Ibadan could even be exposed after that rally. That's why I'm really worried. I'm terrified.
NAFDAC has ordered for chloroquine production.
Okay.
How does this, in any way solve our problem?
It's going to solve the problem. You see, different countries have used different combinations, different drugs. The fact is, hydrochloroquine is capable of dealing with this virus. But just as Professor Abayomi said the other day, he said chloroquine is useful in treating this thing, but it has to be administered based on the guidance of your doctor. Because that is a drug that can also cause harm to your body.
It can be poisoned.
Yes, you can be poisoned, but if you do not use it the right way. So, and you've seen that even in France, they are using chloroquine combined with another drug. Because there is no single drug that WHO has validated for the treatment. People are using ideas. I've had even the Oni of Ife said that herbs. I know that even the Senegalese doctors, pharmacists have come up with a drug. So we will find a drug ultimately, but at least it can be managed with chloroquine and the rest. So what NAFDAC has done now is to take one step forward, produce this chloroquine in substantial doses, so that when the clinical trials are over, then it can then be used for our people. And that's what the Americans too. They've gone far with a vaccine, but you know it takes time. The process takes time.
Okay.
I think it's in September that they are saying that the vaccine will be ready.
By
that time, we will have September. It will have almost killed all Americans.
Well, let's hope that this gives a solution to it. But it's natural the way the challenge when something like this is new, when a virus is new. The problem is you need to first of all understand its nature, its behavior, so that you can deal with it. The problem is the scientists are struggling with the very nature to understand the behavior of this virus so that they can deal with it. But then government should not forget the people on the street. A lot of people haven't been paid so that we can take care of them.
The advocate of people on the street.
People on the street, lecturers as well.
We call him Sporting Solo. That's Solomon. Thank you for your participation. And BQ, in spite of the lockdown, we'll be here every day.
Yes, it's our job.
It's our job.
It's our job. We're going nowhere.
Nobody can restrict.
No, not even coronavirus can stop us.
Stop us. And that's our offering today. Join us tomorrow for another episode of the program and what journalists hang out on our platforms showing on the screen. We're on YouTube, youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. Our feedback channel is Journalist Hangouts at tvcnews.tv. I'm Ayodele Ozubakun. Bye for now, and God bless Nigeria. Hello, and thank you for joining us on the Tuesday edition of Journalist Hangout. I'm Ayodele Ozubakun. As the coronavirus pandemic continues to spread in Nigeria, now is the time to keep ourselves safe by staying indoors and maintaining social distance. Today on the program, Governor Sanwo-Olu tasked security operatives to be friendly with residents as a 14-day lockdown takes effect in Lagos. I'll be hanging out with Babajide Kolade Otitoju and Solomon Ajuzeogun. So if you're ready, let the hangout start now. All right, Babajide, lockdown started in Lagos today. And it took me from Ogba to this place, it took me like sub 10 minutes to get here. I still had people outside playing football. We still had people outside gathering, in sets and everything. But the essence of this lockdown is stay indoors, not staying at home, but stay to contain the spread of this virus.
Yes. Our people are not used to, especially Lagos people, they are not used to being told to simply lock themselves up inside their houses. Even on the days, in those days when we had the environmental sanitation program, before a lawyer went to court and got the Supreme Court to declare that it's a violation of people's fundamental human rights to tell them that they cannot move around on Saturday mornings. On many of those days, you will find people just playing football. They will not even be involved in any form of cleaning. So it's something that Lagosians are used to. On election day, for example, be playing football on the streets. When they are told that they should stay inside their houses, many of them just decided to turn their streets to football fields. So that's what we have. But generally, I think that there is a substantial compliance, because I drove through the roads, and the roads were bereft of the usual vehicular traffic. So it shows that there is compliance, and it's the first day. So let's see what it looks like tomorrow.
Solomon, this is going to happen. This is happening in Lagos, Abuja, and Ogun State will join on Friday.
I think that basically people are interpreting it to mean sit at home, don't go to work. They have not, first of all, internalized the enormity of the problem that is on our hands. You're talking about something that is moving up and down, an invisible thing, moving all over the place, and you can't see it, and then it's just striking people, taking hold of people. So they do not know that staying at home, they also have to observe the social distancing rules. You see people walking, and at the very local level, on the street levels, people who are even close to their families are not observing all the medical protocols and rules that you are supposed, rules of engagement at this critical time. So naturally, you will expect those things to happen. I also think it's a bit loose because it's a first day. I expect that by tomorrow, that the restrictions will now be stronger, and people will really have to stay indoors. Staying at home does not necessarily mean that you have to go to the field, play football, sweat, make sweaty contacts. That's a bit dangerous. And that's because a lot of the people have not yet taken into the challenge of this virus, what it is.
Okay. Now, Osun State recorded new case of the virus. Let's go to Governor Gboyega Oyetola for the updates on this. Hello, Your Excellency.
Good afternoon.
All right, how are you dealing with this new case recorded?
Well, so far we have 5 cases of coronavirus in our state. Before now, we had 2, and I want to say the 2 were receiving attention and they are responding to treatment. But a few days ago, we had about 127 Nigerians who came through Côte d'Ivoire,
Côte
the
d'Ivoire.
border of Ogun State. We were alerted about their presence. Governor Dapo linked up with me and arranged for them to be escorted to the state. We used our discretion to ensure they were guaranteed so as to be able to confirm the status of their virus and if they have coronavirus. And we kept them for almost 1 week now.
Okay.
And we decided to do the test for all of them. Out of the 24 we've done so far, 3 have been confirmed positive.
Wow.
The implication of that is that it's not enough for us to talk about lockdown in Lagos, Ogun, and Abuja. It will be wrong for us to believe that the prevalence of this virus is only restricted to those states. So what I think we should do, while commending the federal government for its effort through the NCDC, is to talk of a total lockdown of the entire country. And wait, it won't do us anything if we don't do that. If you allow the states to continue to operate, there could be possibility of interstate transfers too. And what is worse is that around 6,400 contacts you are unable to trace. You can imagine that each of these contacts would probably have vetted one person or the other. Today we're not looking at anything less than 10,000 now. So, and that's what I'm recommending to the federal government.
Your Excellency, you are advocating for a total lockdown. That's what is happening in Lagos and Ogun and Federal Capital Territory should be extended to Osun State.
Not only Osun State, no, all the states, particularly my state.
Okay.
I mean, I'm still expecting the result of 103 out of 127.
103.
Out of 25 confirmed positive. So I don't know what's going to be the result of the other 103. Assuming even from pure projection, you might still have no less than another 5 or more. So the thing is with us, and it should be total. The worst about it should be total. We should not be concentrating on 3 states alone. All the states have issues now. And this is the time for the federal government to come to the aid of the state. Most of the states don't have the opportunity or the cost of running isolation centers, investing in ventilators. I squeezed out some money to buy 7. But what is 7 compared with the kind of epidemics you're talking about? But this is the time for the federal government to come to the aid of the state. So manage this thing. Total lockdown for all the states is desirable now, and total support by the federal government to the state is imminent. It's very few.
I think we lost Governor signal. Immediately we were able to reconnect him. Solomon, what Jide is just asking now, if the test kit is £65 in London and it's like 10,000 naira landing costs to get here, and it's not accessible even to the states governors, we don't have it in large quantity in Nigeria, and a lot of people are carrying this virus, but they're not able to test.
It's rather unfortunate that nobody thought that a day like this would come. Maybe there will be Lassa, maybe there will be polio, maybe there will be other things we were
Ebola.
used to, but not Ebola, but not coronavirus. And so we're in a situation where we are unprepared for such a thing like this. I think, personally, that the reason why we have 135 so far, or about 100 so far, is because of our lack of capacity to do multiple testings. And this is what marks a country like South Korea differently from the rest of the world. They can test 10,000 people in a day. We have this number of cases because we have a situation where we can only test this few.
Okay, Judy. Now, the presidency approved the delay in the commencement of coronavirus lockdown in Ogun State, and some people are saying that this might be counterproductive. As I'm talking to you now, people right in Akute are moving, people in Alagbole, they are moving around while Lagos is on lockdown. And a lot of people are saying that the longer you delay this, you're just like postponing the evil day.
I really don't understand why that has happened. I believe that the suggestion that Governor Yetola made is a valid one.
That immediate lockdown everywhere.
Lock down the whole country. India is bigger than Nigeria. It's the world's biggest democracy. They are on a 21-day lockdown. No half measures.
So every 24
no
hours
half
is
measures.
dangerous.
Let us do. A friend of mine told me that in Kano, you know our friend Sule, that people are just doing their things, just normal.
I know there was a rally in Kano. No corona, nothing like corona. Babu corona, there's nothing like that. Corona, I saw the viral visual. Babu corona, and that's.
I didn't want to see that.
Large
but
crowd.
you see, the thing is, one, even our own, the enlightenment was not enough from the beginning. All of these clerics who are saying rubbish about corona, if we had done substantial sensitization, this would not have happened. The former commissioner for health in Lagos State, Jide Idris, warned us about corona since July 2019. July 2019. So it's not like that the world did not even know that this thing was coming. He warned. And by the way, it's the same Jide Idris that introduced Professor Abayomi. So these are international medical practitioners. He had foreknowledge. He talked about it.
Biosecurity experts.
Yes, but we didn't do anything. Even when the whole world began to close their borders, we refused to close our own. And now we are implementing partial lockdown. It's just not right. Let's do it once and for all. Let's fight the pandemic head on and defeat it across the country at the same time. If Kaduna, they started their lockdown even before everyone. So it should not be about 3 states. Let's do it comprehensively. Look at what happened with Osun. Imagine if all of those 127
are
people
mixed with.
They came in about 17 or 11 buses. You know,
From
people,
Cote d'Ivoire.
Ejigbo people now.
Yeah.
A lot of them live.
They are traders.
There are more than 1 million of them in Cote d'Ivoire. Some of them are in Benin Republic. In fact, one of them rose to become the defense minister. Defense minister in Benin Republic. So they come home from time to time. And then we had this situation.
They had not tipped the governor off.
Yes, because Osun has interstate borders. I was reading today that the governor of Kwara State has decided to shut their land borders. Because what is the point? You come up with measures, but people are streaming in from other states. You know? So how do you defeat it? 127 persons.
27.
They have done out of the 27 that they did test for. 3 have tested positive. And the people tested positive were said to have high viral content. High viral content.
I mean, the exchange from the source, from where they're coming from.
Because just like in America, a lot of their people carrying the virus, it was down to frequent travels outside of the US. Now, these people too, these Ejigbo people, they, you know, France and Cote d'Ivoire, because of the relationship between both countries, the French people come into Cote d'Ivoire a lot. And we know that France is one of the countries in trouble about this virus. So if anybody is coming, either from Togo or we must make sure, Kwara, for example, has a border with Togo. So they have to shut the border, ensure people, let's implement the thing wholesale. Let's not do piecemeal implementation.
So the governor of Osun State is saying that, look, that they need help. He had to bring in 7 ventilators, which might not be enough by the time.
That's not. Seven ventilators don't take care of anything. Let's face it. I think that if we are conservatively speaking, we'll be talking about in the thousands of it, the number of Nigerians that are primarily or secondarily exposed to the virus. When you talk about people, I think that the lockdown in itself has come a bit too late. I think that somehow there is an inadvertent complicity of public officials not to have done the right thing when they ought to have done it. Okay, I think this has come too late, and I think I agree with the governor of the state of Osun that the lockdown should be total. We haven't been able to do the proper contact tracing of the people who came in those flights, where the index case and the lady that came in from London, and then the people that went to the AMVCA awards at Eco Hotels. We haven't talked about all of this. We haven't made the proper contact tracing of all of this, and the sort of staccato effect of all the people in their interactions, in all of their movements. The truth of the matter is the virus itself does not move about. It is people that move it about. And primarily, this is an imported virus. And so there is nobody home here that had it originally. It was brought in from outside the country. And there are people moving up and down that we need to restrict them.
Okay, on the final note, let's just get in touch with Governor Oyetola. What do you want the federal government to do? And the people of Osun State, what will be your message?
Well, first of all, I want the federal government to extend the lockdown to the entire country to avoid the spread. Again, we're lucky to have the African Center of Excellence for Genomics in Ede. We're still expecting 103 of the 127 samples we sent to them. I pray that we don't have many of these coming positive again. So that will raise the index of Osun. I hope we will not be competing with Lagos. Having said that, I want to appeal at people to please ensure that they stay at home. Our lockdown is coming up by midnight today. I said everybody to be at home. That's the only way we can ensure we contain the spread of the virus. There's no other two way to it. They are imported cases, and so once you're able to contain the spread within the state, you can isolate within a period of 2 weeks, be able to know who and who has been infected. So this is the best way to go about containing the spread. And like I said, I want the federal government to come to the aid of the state. We're all struggling to keep pace with the number of cases we have. Most of the state cannot afford to set up very sophisticated acquisition centers unless they are decision themselves. we struggle to pay salary, and so there's no more money to do a lot of things. Federal government should see it as a national thing and give money to the state to be able to handle the various cases in their respective states. God bless you.
I want to thank you, the governor of Osun State, Governor Gboyega Oyetola. Jide, I think I sympathize and share the sentiment of the governor, because in Lagos, when you go to Onikon Stadium now, you just see this center. It was set up by the Guaranty Trust Bank under 72 hours. Now, Lagos is big enough. People that understand the meaning of social corporate responsibility, we have a lot of those companies and multinationals coming to Lagos State, and I've been seeing photographs of those multinationals giving governor, handing over relief materials and even big checks. Now, but when you come to states like Osun and every other state, they might not have that kind of leverage from to get from these big companies. So what Governor Gboyega Oyetola is saying that, look, they need the intervention of the federal government.
Yes, and out of the monies that have been released, that have been donated to the effort to defeat this pandemic, the federal government has to release
on time,
without wasting any time. This is not the time for bureaucracy.
At all.
We're talking about human lives now. So release those monies to the states. The Chinese philanthropist who made a big donation to Nigeria, the donation was taken to Abuja. You can now distribute to all states. Let all states be in the position to battle this virus. Yeah. Let's not concentrate all our efforts on Lagos, because clearly this thing knows no borders, and people are moving around across the country. So we do not, because some states have not even started testing at all. So
and
you will not even know.
Exist in those states.
Yes, you will not know how many people are infected in those states. So this is the time for the government to release funds to states, because as you said, they are struggling to pay salaries. So this one has come at the wrong time. And they have their bills to pay, debts and all that. Osun has a peculiar case. So release money to these states to assist them in setting up those centers, because when those cases come, in a flood, our states should be ready to deal with the situation.
When you look at it, the lockdown you want to react to?
Yes, first and foremost, I take exception to the fact that the relief materials that were sent in, the test kits and the medical equipment, had to be first of all moved to Abuja in the first place. It came into Lagos. This is a federal state. Shouldn't we have just done the disbursements and done the planning without ado? I did not think that it was necessary to have moved those things to Abuja first before then distributing. Those things are not necessary. At this time, we need to move with the speed. Exactly. We can do the dividing right from Lagos. So if we have more relief materials coming from donor nations or from anywhere, I do not think it is necessary to go through the bureaucracy of taking those things to Abuja in the first place before you start distributing them. I don't think that's necessary. I also think that there is a problem here. A day before the lockdown in Lagos, that was yesterday, I used to know, that's where the local government people will come in. I used to know that in every local government, they had public enlightenment trucks. They have public address systems, and they go over the whole world. There was nothing like that in the whole of Lagos, sensitizing people. I expected to see a lot of that. We now rely on Twitter, we now rely on WhatsApp. Everybody is not on it. We rely on conventional broadcast and media. I think that in this sort of thing, you need proper communication planning, proper communication strategy, which will also involve all of the media mix, both traditional and conventional. And I think we need to take this into consideration at the local government level especially.
All right. We'll take this breather. When we come back, we'll talk more. It's still Journalist Hangout. Please don't go away.